Good evening, everybody. It's Michael here, and welcome to the Lincoln Property and Mortgage Show. As always, you are joined this evening by Jenny from the Mortgage Hub. Good evening, Jenny.
Evening, Mike. How are you?
Very well. I know we had a couple of catch-ups today. We're saying just how busy we are at the moment.
Yeah, it's been one of those manic moments where I'm trying to turn off the Alexa, load up the laptop again properly, and get everything sorted before we hit that go live. So yeah, it's all been a bit manic this evening.
So I'm going to kick off this evening with my topic, and I'm going to be talking about don't get caught in the 2% pricing trap. So that should keep you all interested to see what that's all about. And then, Jenny, what are you going to be discussing tonight?
How lenders have increased rates, which is not to put the fear of God into anyone, but we have seen some rate increases recently, and how's that going to impact on you guys moving forward, really?
Fantastic. So let's roll those credits and we'll get started. Excellent. So I'm going to kick off this week with the 2% pricing trap. So there's the headline. Let's just dive into that a little bit more and tell you what I mean by that. So this actually came about with a real conversation only last night that I had with a homeowner. And I'm sure they won't mind me telling you the story. And I'll make a couple of the figures and bits and pieces up so it's not too obvious. But yeah, I'm just going to give you a bit of a live example of a homeowner who was on the market. I got a phone call from their estate agent to say that they're based in an office outside of Lincoln. So it wasn't a Lincoln agent, which is the first thing to point out, but it was an agency where they have a head office based outside the Lincoln area. And the conversation went along the lines of, look, we've gone into New Year, we need to be looking at pricing, and I've been doing some extensive research in regard to your local market. And my advice to you would be to bring the price down by 2%. So the homeowner went, well, actually, I've done quite a bit of extensive research. Obviously, I know every single property that's on the market in my location. And I actually sort of challenge you a little bit in regard to the pricing that you've suggested. So again, can you just, tell me a little bit more about your comparables and your evidence in regard to the 2%? At that point, the agent couldn't really give them too much more information, to be fair. So the end of the conversation went along the lines of that nothing was actually done. The price remained the same, bit of a wasted exercise for everybody. And the homeowner was a little bit frustrated that somebody from out of the area was just badgering down for a price reduction. So I had a conversation. I said, well, do you know where the 2% came from? And he went, nope, not got a clue. And he said, well, that's because he's done extensive research and he'll have told me obviously what all the properties have sold for in the area and what price I've had to bring it down to. And that's the magic figure that I need to bring my price down to. And I said, but if it was that magic figure that's what it needs to be on the market in order for you to sell, why didn't you put it on the market at that price in the first place? So I opened up this conversation about knowledge and data. And as you know, I'm all into the data and the stats and the figures and things. But I said to him, do you want me to tell you where the 2% came from? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, it's because Rightmove particularly will, and I'm going to use them just as an example because that's my insight on there. That's where I'm knowledgeable is. In order for a property to show as a new price on their portal, it needs to be a minimum of 2% from the current asking price. That's the only reason. No extensive research, no data, no magic wand, no voodoo. Literally, if you want your property to show as a new price property on the Rightmove portal, it needs to be by a minimum of 2%. Fact. And he said, well, why don't they just tell me that?
Yeah.
So
Why not just be honest?
why not just be upfront? Yeah. So this is
Yeah.
what we mean about, again, transparency with agencies and just being upfront with a homeowner. Say, look, if you were thinking of moving, look, if you want to get the maximum exposure, you need to be bringing it down by 2% if you want to capture it to an audience which will see it as a new price. Straightforward enough. But I'm going to give you another couple of examples off the back of that in regard to two conversations that I've had with the homeowners that I'm working with off the back of that, because it's really got me thinking. I'm just going to give you a bit of an example of what that would have actually looked like in real terms if the homeowner had gone down that route. So if we took an example of a home being on at 675, because this was a high value property to be fair, and we worked out, let's say, for example, 2% on a price there at 675 because it's between 650 and 700. And that would have been £13,500. So that would have brought the current asking price with the new price down to 661,500. Now, let's be fair. We're always on Rightmove, and we know what asking prices go at. When have you ever seen a property on the market at 661,500? You don't.
You don't. You
You don't.
don't.
The next nearest one you're going to go to is 660,000. Fair point?
Yeah. Yep. Fair point. Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you were going to look at bandings, which is something a bit more complicated, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to explain this properly, we'll see that if you actually give good advice and honest advice, I'm going to talk to you about bandings to get two bites of the cherry. And we've talked about this in the past, but I'm going to give you some proper examples here. Let me see where we're going to start from there. So if we look at bandings, when you go on Rightmove, this is how they're broken up. And I've got some notes here, so I'm going to refer to the notes here. Bandings work at 10,000 price brackets on values up to 300,000. Okay, so 250 to 260, 260 to 270, 270 to 280. When you get to 300,000, they go up every 25,000. Okay, up to 500,000. Okay, then at 500,000, they go up every 50,000 up to 800,000. And that's probably the market in Lincoln, let's be honest. But after the 800,000, they go up every 100,000 bracket. So 800 to 900, 900 to a million now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
At a million, they then go up every 250,000. So every 250,000. Okay, up to 3 million, and then 3 million, they go up every 1 million up to 5 million. Okay, so you can see that the sort of gaps and the brackets get wider and wider depending on the value of the property. If we look at Lincoln, the average sale price in Lincoln is still just shy of £290,000. Okay, so if we took an example of 300,000 and you did your 2% reduction there, that's £6,000. So your asking price at that point will be 294,000. But again, we don't see prices on the market generally at 294. They're either 295 or 290. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That 2%, it's that trigger in regard to the portals marketing the property with a new price. And again, I'm going to tell you about the advantages of that in a moment as well. But it's really important that if an agent is talking to you about pricing, you really drum down in regards to what branding, what bracket rather it's going to put it into, but also making sure that the agent is also able to maximize the opportunity to sell at that new price. Okay, so there's two things we're going to look at there. Right, hopefully that all made sense to everybody, but if you're not quite sure, let me know. There's two other things I'm going to talk about pricing, and then I'm going to go down and explain that bit. If you ever see an asking price with a 7 and a 3 in it, you can guarantee the price has been brought down. Okay, because that's not marketing figures that agents work with. So if you see something at 297, I can promise you it was on the market at 300,000 before, and then they brought it down a little bit to 297. Same thing with a 3 in it. Then the negative numbers, we call them, and they're usually because somebody's made a slight amendment, usually because there's a little bit of room for negotiation at 295. I don't want to go down to 290. I'll meet it in the middle at, for argument's sake, 293. Okay, so there are a couple of things there. If you're looking for a property and you're a buyer and you're looking for an idea of a property when it's reduced down, if it's not had that 2% drop down, 3s and 7s are usually quite a good indicator there as well. Okay. Just to cover that off as well, you'll often have heard me talk about don't put a property on the market at 299,950 or 299,999. Stick it on at 300, and that's because of these brackets. Okay, so two bites of the cherry. If you put it on the market at 300, you're going to get people looking from 250 to 300, 260 to 300, 270 to 300, 280 to 300, 290 to 300. And you're going to get people looking from 300 to 325. Okay, two bites of the cherry. If you're going at 295, anybody who's going 300 to 325 won't see your property. Okay, that bit's really important because you're missing out on literally thousands of viewings on your property details on Rightmove and click-throughs just by having £5,000 differential on it. Okay, so that's the other one there. In regards to that 2% price reduction as well, what also then happens is if you have got set up property alerts on your mobile phone, or if you're an avid, fan of Rightmove and you've got everything all set up on there and you're watching it every day, etc., etc. If the price comes down, you'll get an alert from Rightmove, usually within 24 hours, to say, new price alerts. This property is now come either into your price bracket. So if you're looking up to 300 and something, one was in at 310 and it's come down, you'll be notified about it now for the first time. Likewise, if you've seen it before, or if you're in that search criteria, you will get an alert to say that the price has come down. Majority of estate agents also will have a client base, what we call a CRM, where there's data held within about the client. And again, the agent should be matching back up your property to everybody on the mailing list and bringing them to your attention that the price has come down as well. Okay, so it's significant to reduction, that it's a sensible reduction. It brings you as close to one of those other brackets. And again, that the websites, the agents, the CRMs, and Rightmove in the portals will match your criteria back up to previous clients or potentially new people in that price bracket. So that covers quite a broad field. But I also say, if an agent is talking to you about a price reduction, also say, so if I bring the price reduction down, what do you also do in the background to, remarket my property? Because you need to relaunch effectively. If you just bring the price down and let the CRMs do it, I don't think that that's good customer service. In the good old days of estate agency, we would all sit in a morning meeting in the front office and somebody would say, we've got a price reduction on 25 High Street yesterday from this price to this. We all had hot boxes, little cards with the name of the client, the price bracket they were looking after, what position they were in, and we had a top 10 buyers list at the front, and then we hot people who wanted to buy something straight away, and then you had another category and another category, and then you had investors, and everybody would sit in the morning meeting and go, right, new price reduction on Smith Street, it's now on at 250, get into your hot boxes, and you'd give a pledge that day, right, I'm going to ring Mr. Jones, I'm going to ring Mr. Richards, I'm going to get hold of Louise, and we're going to try and create some activity. And there was a buzz, and there was a focus, and there was a target given to you. Tomorrow morning, you need to come back in and tell me how many people you've rang your price reduction out to as a team. Let's see how many viewings we can get on it. I wonder if estate agents do that in their offices anymore. Because we all
I was going to say, I can remember sat in those morning meetings in the estate agent where I used to work, having exactly those conversations. But yeah, it's a bit, is that, I don't know, maybe they still do. Maybe there's still an element of that, I guess. Who knows?
Well, I think the question is ask your estate agent. If I bring
Yeah,
a price reduction down, are you just going to be matching it up with your your database and letting it doing it? But look, there's nothing better than somebody ringing you up and telling you about a property and the price reduction, and usually tell a little bit about the story about why. Have they found somewhere? Are they more motivated now as their circumstances change? So it's asking them, look, are you going to do a relaunch? Are you going to repost it back on your social media? Are you going to relaunch the video for me? Are you going to do a little announcement on a video outside my property announcing that the price has come down? Are you going to match it back up to the list? How do you do that? When do you get the feedback? When am I expecting an update? Am I going to get a Rightmove report in a week's time, which will show how many more click-throughs I've had by bringing the price down? You've got to validate the work that you're doing by asking the homeowner to come down often several thousands of pounds. And this is something I remember talking about way back when we first launched this as well, Jenny, is if you bring down the price by, let's say, for example, 15 grand, yeah? 10 to 15 grand, that's a lot of money. So you've got to have that conversation where your onward purchase, your agent is confident that they're going to help you get the next one down in price, as we've talked about before. But also, if that agent's on a 1% fee, that £10,000 price reduction that the homeowner has had to stomp, it's not really hitting the estate agent's back pocket in regard to how much revenue that they're going to drop down by when they sell it. Okay. Yeah. So I just feel it's really important to talk to your agent about where reductions have come from, what it's based on, and also, more importantly, what's the agent going to then do to maximize the exposure without relying on technology and auto alerts to get more people through your front door at the new price.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's again, it comes down to that open communication there, isn't it, Mike? And look, if I bring it down, what are you going to do for me? Because we all see it. I speak to clients and they're like, oh, they've had a price reduction. They've had a price reduction. What does that, like you say, mean though? Does that mean that they now want to sell? They've got to sell because they found or their circumstances have changed? Or does it simply mean that, they've had that conversation with the estate agent because maybe it was on too much, on too high in the first place? So it's understanding all of that and how that kind of fits in with them and their next onward purchase, if there is an onward purchase.
I mentioned earlier again about a real life case again, because I have these conversations with the homeowners I'm working with, and we had a conversation only this evening. I've done a reduction on I don't even like calling them price reductions; it's a price adjustment.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we've done one this evening on a wonderful home over in Haington, in Washington Road, in Washington rather, on the main road there. And what we looked at is over the last 6 weeks, we deliberately didn't bring the price down in January because we knew it was going to be saturated with new properties and new price properties. Yeah. But what we have done in the last 4 weeks, we've changed the lead photo 3 times,
Mhm.
and we've changed the second photo 3 times as well. And we've changed the text. And we can see, because I speak to my homeowners every week, and they get a report from me, and we can see what's happening every single week, day by day. And we've noticed that it's always maintained its interest above every other, what's the word they use? Similar property is I think the word in that they use. So all your comparables, the interest on their property has always been above the average. Yeah. But where it starts dipping down below, we changed the photo and it picked up again. The interest
Mm.
started going down. We changed the photo again. It brought it back up again. We brought it down again. So we can show over the last 4 weeks, we've done 3 things with the marketing, with the description, a relaunch of the video, changing the lead photos before we've come to the conclusion on pricing. So that's maybe something else to take into account. Okay, well, what else have we done in the last 4 or 5 weeks to try and maximize some interest before the homeowner has to come down several £1,000s on an asking price?
Yeah, and when people look on Rightmove, and it is that it's that instant thing, isn't it? So if everyone's just got the standard house front of their house, which, let's be fair, a lot of people will do, just put a picture of the front of the house up. If you can change that and catch their attention, because sometimes they're just scroll, and
Yeah,
they don't even realise that they're scrolling past these houses that potentially are what they're looking for. It's just that front aspect isn't as it should be. So yeah, and I've said to people before, who's maybe not had enough interest, have you considered putting on a different room, or maybe your back garden or the view or something, rather than your front aspect of your property? Because that could just draw different people into your home.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Perfect.
So say any questions on any of that, pick up the phone, send me a message, follow you on my socials, ping me a direct message over. Anything I can do to help on that, then feel free to reach out.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Mike. So it's on to me next. And I do not want to cause panic across the country, as we saw back in November 2022. But we have seen three major high street lenders in the last sort of 7 days increase their interest rates, which will have a direct impact on you guys out there. Now, as I say, look, I don't want to start any panic, no negative media that, the world's going to end because interest rates are going up again. And we must be really super clear that these increases were for a remortgage or a product transfer. So it meant any residential purchases, there hasn't been an increase in these rates. For any buy to lets across the board, whether that's a remortgage, a purchase, a product transfer, again, these are not increased on that. It is purely for a residential remortgage or product transfer. Now, I think what this shows us is a couple of things. And I think we've sat back and just assumed rates are going to drop and drop and drop. And I must say to my clients, at least 2 or 3 times a day when we're talking about what they think is going to happen in the market and how it may impact on them. And they're all waiting for the rates to drop. And they go, well, they're going to continue to drop. So should I go short? Should I go long? And we have that conversation on a regular basis. And I think what this kind of shows us moving forward, that maybe rates are not going to drop much further. Maybe we've hit that period where lenders are starting to look at what's coming in, what's going out, and they're going to start to stabilize. And I've been saying that, all year we're going to have some ups and downs with these interest rates. And I think maybe this is the start of it. So you speak to most brokers and they'll all say to you that the 1% and 2% interest rates we saw previously, they are gone for now. They're not going to turn up suddenly by the end of the year. I truly believe that. I hope I'm wrong, but I truly believe that. So what I'm saying is, don't take the rates keep dropping for granted, because they may come to a point where they stop dropping and may start to go the other way. They may not. We don't know. And the second thing that this tells me is that perhaps the lenders were waiting for the Bank of England to drop their base rate, and maybe they feel that that's not going to happen as quickly as they would like, which means they're they're then edging their bets, if you like, around this. So we thought they might drop this time round, or there was whispers they might. Now we're looking at June before people are whispering that potentially the Bank of England's base rate has dropped. So maybe this is why lenders have started to increase, because the base rate and the inflation hasn't gone in the way that they anticipated. And if I'm honest, I've kind of given up trying to work out when this base rate is going to increase or decrease, because actually not many people know. We just need to see what's happening. There's so many other factors that can impact the UK base rate. It's not just our inflation, it's how does that impact overseas. We've all watched the news and what's going on there. This could all have a big impact on what lenders are thinking about and what's going to happen with the base rate. And then thirdly, and this one I think is more for us really, when a lender, so in essence in 2024 there are millions of people whose products are going to end. Okay, they're going to fall off the product that they're on and they need to go for a new product. And I think this is why lenders are looking at product transfers and they are looking at remortgages rather than the other side of the purchase, for residential at least. And it's all about them leveling out their risk. Okay, so when a lender wants to bring more revenue into them, what they will do is they will drop their rates. That brings in more borrowers, and when they want them, they're full really, then they increase them. So imagine some buckets. Okay, you've got a remortgage bucket, you've got product transfers, you've got purchases. When those buckets get full, a lender will increase the rates because they don't want any more going into those pockets, because they've spent that money already, if you like, on lending. And when they want to increase that, they drop the rates. And they might want to increase their purchase borrowers, but they need to level out their remortgage, they increase it. And I think potentially this is what is happening. We've seen a lot of people recently looking at remortgaging. They've been really proactive, which is fantastic, because we're getting those lower deals and we're securing those deals. But I think potentially the buckets are filling up. So the way that they're going to reduce their risk, they're going to increase the rates to bring down the amount of borrowers and allow other lenders that maybe had slightly higher rates on the market take their share of that remortgage. Now, that's not them being nice. That's just business. That's how they work. They don't want too much of the same business because it's sort of too high risk. So a couple of things to consider on the back of these rate increases. And I must stress, we are not talking the 2% that we saw previously. It's 0.2%, it's 0.5%, and it's not on the whole range. Some lenders, it's purely just on one or two products. Some, it is the whole range of remortgages. So it's sort of a bit of a mixed bag there. But things for you guys to consider is, if your deal is coming to an end at any point in 2024, you need to contact your broker. Most brokers are having conversations and saying, well, we can't really do anything until X time because we need to give that 6 months. We can't do anything until we're 6 months before that deal comes to an end. But let's make sure you're in the best possible position to be able to secure those rates when it does come to an end. And that might be looking to reduce credit down to make sure that we fit affordability. That might be making sure that your documents are in order. It's tax year time for a lot of sole traders, so making sure we're having those conversations that the figures are where they need to be able to secure your mortgage later on. So if your product's coming to an end in 2024, contact your mortgage broker. And then if it is coming to an end within the next 6 months, do not delay. Call, WhatsApp, email, send a pigeon, whatever you need to do, but contact your mortgage broker straight away, because now is the time that we need to start looking at these rates, securing the deal. And remember, if they drop the rates, we can go for the lower one, but let's get the deal secured now so that you've got the peace of mind, you've got the best deal on the market in case they do start to increase. Because remember, if one lender goes, they may all start to increase, and that's going to impact on your pocket.
Excellent. Some really great content in there again, as always, Jenny. I like the bucket analogy, keeping it very, very sort of, it's just nice and easy to understand on what happens. And like you say, it's commerce at the end of the day. It makes perfect sense. Like you say, you lower things down. It's when you want to sell more of them. And then when you want to stop, you put the prices up. So that price elasticity is really important on that. And like you say, for the last few weeks, we've been talking about what was happening with the rates coming down. Just before Christmas, we predicted where we thought they were going to be and what was going to happen in the first quarter. They're following that trait. there was, there's lots of the programs on TV at the moment which are talking about what's going to be happening in the mortgage business and the industry, particularly on the run up to the election. So, but as you've also said there's never a given.
No.
We just don't know. But like you say, you can only work on what you know now. And planning ahead for this year and being strategic is really important, particularly, like I say, if you want to lock those deals in. Like you said there, if they come down, they come down, but you can lock it in at this one in case they go up. So it makes very good sense. So if that has got you thinking, and you want to know how you can get a bit more advice, again, the first thing to do is, again, follow us on our social media. We're all on Facebook and on Instagram as well. And again, I always say this every week, Jenny's Instagram posts are brilliant. In particular, I know you go across both forums, but there's lots and lots of information that goes out really very, very quickly and very quick to react on there. All of our contact details are all on that as well. So do please feel free to get in contact. If you're watching the show tonight, it'd be great if you can give us a like, just so again, it's spreading the news as well. Feel free to share the show as well with anybody that you think might have missed out this evening or that would benefit by listening to today's show as well. So thanks ever so much indeed. We've had a few people following us and watching us again this evening, which is great. So thank you very much indeed. Probably hello, Mum. Give you a shout out. Let's make sure she's watched to the end. But no, we do appreciate obviously everybody's support. But as I say, if you need anything at all, that's what we're here for. There you go. Look, we've got a like up there. Look, who's that? We'll find out. Yes, it's hello.
There you go. She watched.
There we go.
I love it.
So if you're watching the show back again, but again, just give us a like, give us a follow. Our job in all of this is to make sure that we get as much information out about the marketplace at the right time to the right people. And also we've got Steve Wilson also giving us a like as well. So thank you for that, Steve. Great to see you joining us as well this evening. So thank you everybody else. Jenny, anything else from you?
No, all good. As I say, just don't bury your head in the sand. If your product is ending this year, let's act on it now while we can.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you again, same time, same place next week on the Lincoln Property and Mortgage Show. Have you got those closing credits, Jenny?
We have indeed. Here we go.